I don't know how much of a controversial opinion this is, but I love movie trailers. To me, there's something almost mesmerising about condensing the entirety of a particular movie-going experience into just a couple of minutes worth of footage. One of my earliest favourite trailers was the UK teaser for 1998's Mulan, which I used to watch on my Disney VHS tapes. I've linked the trailer in the description for your viewing pleasure, along with all the other trailers I'll be talking about today. Mulan is such an iconic and beloved Disney movie nowadays that it's difficult to remember a time before it existed. But I remember. I remember watching this trailer and knowing nothing about the upcoming film other than what the trailer itself was showing me. It seemed so different from many of the Disney films I knew and loved. It was dark, sombre, serious and moody. Whereas another childhood favourite, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, had felt huge and important to me due to the vast Parisian cityscapes, the crowds of thousands to rival any live-action cinematic epic, and the bombastic, busy visuals, Mulan seemed big in a completely different way. It utilised a lot of empty space in the frame to make certain details appear all the more important. A despondent teenage girl sitting on a dragon statue in the rain, a beautiful hair comb lying abandoned on the ground, a lone warrior screaming to the sky on a snowy mountainside. There's no room for you to be distracted by extraneous details. Most shots in the trailer focus on one solitary thing. And each time the imagery is so intriguing and gorgeous that you can't help but wonder what the story behind this moment is. The music in this trailer was hauntingly beautiful too, and the Emperor's voiceover promised us a protagonist who, to my young mind, almost seemed to toe the line between heroism and villainy. We're informed that she took her father's armour, ran away from home, impersonated a soldier, endangered the lives of thousands of men, and even destroyed a palace. Only for the Emperor to end his narration with this line.
But soon the world will know the great things you have done.
Mind blown. Great trailer, 10 out of 10, no notes. Child me was hooked immediately. And ending it with the theme from Dragonheart? Oh, chills, you guys. True perfection if ever such a thing existed. And Mulan's trailer is far from the only one I've obsessed over in my lifetime. I honestly can't tell you how many times I've rewatched the trailers for the Lord of the Rings trilogy, for example. The trailer for 2015's Mad Max Fury Road was delightfully explosive. I loved that La La Land's trailer appeared to be paying deliberate homage to old-school movie musicals like Singin' in the Rain. Granted, some trailers just generally baffle me.
Fallen in love, fallen in the water, dancing, prancing, and romancing.
Meaning they become guilty pleasures in their own right, like the holiday classic Up on the Wooftop.
I'm going on Santa's test run. What?
I've even had trailers make me cry before, if you can imagine such a thing. When I went to see 2013's The Tale of Princess Kaguya in the cinema, we were shown a trailer for a documentary film called Dark Horse, The Incredible True Story of Dream Alliance, which tells the story of a working-class community in Wales who form a syndicate to train a racehorse, raising a colt named Dream Alliance in a local allotment. Since breeding racehorses is very much the preserve of the rich and elite, no one expects Dream to have any real success in the world of professional horse racing, only for the cynics to be proven wrong. However, the trailer reveals that after a series of victories, something happens to Dream. We're not shown anything, but presumably he's taken a fall during one of his races and he's in a bad condition. Then we get this moment.
I said, if there's any chance that he can survive this, we don't care whether he can race again. You've got to keep him alive.
And guys, this genuinely had me crying. In the cinema! In public! But the fact that even the promotional material for this film was able to make me cry shows the true power of a well-executed trailer. That's not to say that I enjoy trailers 100% of the time, ironically or otherwise.
What?
I, for one, was in no rush to see 2014's The Lego Movie based on its marketing, only relenting after the world's funniest and most heartfelt toy commercial received an almost unanimously glowing critical reception. Same for the Kung Fu Panda movies. With each trailer for each new film, I would think, oh no, this one looks really bad this time, only to be pleasantly surprised by the final product. By the way, I wrote the bulk of this script before the fourth movie was released. I'm hearing that one's a bit of a disappointment, unfortunately. However, I've decided to keep this section anyway because, frankly, the fact that we got 3 excellent movies at all from a franchise called Kung Fu Panda is a miracle which we should never stop celebrating. And yeah, movie marketing, like all marketing, can be manipulative when it needs to be. And I've been on the receiving end of deceptive trailers just like the rest of you. This is exactly what happened with Frozen 2, the highly anticipated sequel to the cultural phenomenon from 2013. To understand the significance of this trailer's impact on me, we need to go all the way back to the first Frozen movie. Now, I went to see Frozen when it was first released in cinemas. I went with some friends and their 2 daughters, and the cinema was packed with children and their families. As a general movie fan, I was excited to watch Frozen, but I wouldn't say my expectations were especially high. I'd enjoyed a lot of Disney and Pixar's then recent animated offerings, but I personally hadn't loved any of their releases since The Princess and the Frog 4 years prior. And I was fine with that, you know? I don't need to think every movie I watch is the best thing ever created. Sometimes in life you just need 90 minutes of something pretty, fun, and well written to tide you over culturally, and these movies did that for me. Frozen was getting positive reviews from audiences and critics, but I don't think the hype had quite reached fever pitch at the point where I went to see it. I went into Frozen expecting what I'd got from other contemporaneous Disney movies. Something enjoyable, but not something I'd revisit many times in the future. What I didn't expect was how much the movie would get to me, emotionally. Watching Frozen for the first time, there was a moment I'll never forget. It was during the musical number For the First Time in Forever. Prior to this song, the movie has established that Princess Elsa was born with ice magic, but after accidentally injuring her younger sister Anna during childhood, she has had to keep her powers a secret from everyone, including her sister, who has no memory of what transpired. Elsa isolates herself from everyone, despite Anna's pleas that they play together like they used to. After their parents tragically die at sea, Elsa must ascend to the throne of Arendelle and become its queen. As the day of the coronation arrives, Anna, extroverted, fun-loving and attention-starved, is elated to open the palace gates and meet her subjects and visiting dignitaries. Meanwhile, Elsa, introverted, traumatised and unstable, dreads what's in store for her as she struggles to keep her powers under control. There's a lot of character work going on in this song and you're sold on it straight away. I was already enjoying the movie at this point, but then came a moment during this song, when Anna leaps from a window onto a window washer's pulley, raising herself into the sunlight as ships from foreign lands arrive in their harbour. I couldn't tell you what it was about that specific scene that triggered what I'm about to tell you, but all of a sudden, sitting there in the cinema watching that moment, a certain feeling washed over me which I haven't felt with any movie in my adult life before or since. I felt like a child again. And not in like a, "Aw, I would have really loved this movie when I was a kid" kind of way. Rather, I felt exactly the same way I used to feel watching something like Snow White or Cinderella or Beauty and the Beast during my childhood. A sensation of not just being emotionally invested in a story, but emotionally enthralled by it. I was full of giddy excitement for what was in store for the rest of the movie. Sadly, as the film continued, the more nitpicks I had, meaning I'd lost that sensation of childlike wonder long before the end credits rolled, even though I still really enjoyed the movie overall. But the fact that Frozen made me feel that way in the first place at all is still quite the achievement. And like I said, I've never had that same feeling with any other movie since then, Disney or otherwise. I left the cinema that day knowing I'd seen a pretty great movie, and I could definitely understand why people loved it. Then, the worldwide Frozen mania began. I think I tolerated Frozen fever longer than a lot of other people I know, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't eventually become sick of it too.
I can't take it anymore!
Frozen was just so ubiquitous and so in your face that it started to impact my general enjoyment of the movie as a whole. I never hated it or even disliked it, but the thought of watching it again kind of drained me. I wasn't surprised when Disney greenlit a sequel. In fact, it must have been one of the easiest decisions the company ever made. Frozen had grossed over $1 billion worldwide. It had sold millions and millions of soundtracks and associated merchandise. The movie won 2 Academy Awards, and the phenomenon of Frozen fever showed no signs of dying down anytime soon. But by this point, I had little to no interest in watching the sequel when it was released. As a Disney fan, I knew I'd end up seeing it at some point, but I doubted I'd pay to see it in the cinema. I didn't follow any news about the production, I didn't bother trying to figure out what the story would be, I just didn't care. Then the teaser trailer dropped. And let me tell you, this trailer didn't just reignite my long extinguished interest in the franchise, it set it ablaze. We see Elsa standing in a bleak, black landscape as huge waves crash against the shore. She stares defiantly out to sea, almost like she's calculating something. She backs away, drapes any excess clothing over a rock, ties up her hair with a determined look on her face, and then charges towards the unforgiving sea. Using her powers, she tries to cross the waves, but they quickly overpower her, tossing her aside like a doll. Cut to Elsa back on the shore, drenched but no less determined. She tries again, locked into an elemental battle which she seems destined to lose. It's a thrilling opener to the trailer, and one which I proceeded to watch about 3 million times. During one of my many rewatches, I asked myself, what could possibly be driving Elsa to undertake such a dangerous and futile endeavour? We've seen Elsa experiment with her powers before and push the limits of what she can do, but what we're seeing here could very well be life-threatening. Why is she risking serious injury or possibly even death by drowning? I also couldn't help but think, I bet Anna doesn't know Elsa's doing this. If she did, she'd be worried sick. And then it hit me. What if something's happened to Anna? What if she's lost or captured or somehow in danger across this very stretch of water? That would explain why Elsa's doing this, why there's so much urgency in her repeated attempts to win an unwinnable battle against the sea. She's trying to save her sister. This theory was only given more weight when, later in the trailer, we see Anna by herself in a cave looking vulnerable and defeated. Something's happened, she's clearly trapped somewhere and trying to escape. It would also be a nice mirror to the first movie, in which Anna went to great lengths to find and save Elsa. It only makes sense that the reverse would happen in the sequel. Also, after years and years of pushing Anna away, this godlike battle against the crushing forces of nature just to rescue her sister would have been so satisfying, and an interesting insight into Elsa's own secret desire for redemption. And for the record, I don't think Elsa needed to be redeemed for her actions in the first movie. Like many viewers, I blame her parents for a lot of her behaviours, but it makes total sense for Elsa's character to think that she needs redemption. Now, I can't vouch for everyone out there because I know a lot of people can have fraught relationships with their siblings, and many others are just generally amicable towards them. But speaking as the eldest of 4, I saw something of myself in this trailer. I've always had a strong friendship with my siblings, and I know that if they were ever in trouble, I'd go to the ends of the earth to set things right. And that fierce loyalty and unconditional love, even in the face of terrifying odds, was something which I felt very palpably when I saw the trailer and Elsa's battle with the sea. But then the movie came out, and this moment was actually Elsa trying to get to Otter Holland so she can find answers about her past. After quite literally pushing Anna away, again, old habits die hard, I guess. And yeah, finding yourself or whatever is important, and I'm not against stories going this way. But the Frozen movies try, at least in part, to be about sisterhood. They want you to be invested in Elsa and Anna's familial relationship. And as a sister myself, I personally just don't see it. I'm always on the lookout for good sisterly representation in the media I consume, and there are plenty of people out there who definitely do feel a kinship with Anna and Elsa in that regard. But apart from literally the first 5 minutes of the first movie, the pair have always left me feeling a bit hollow. Dare I even say, a bit cold? I'm sorry. I think part of the reason is because whilst there's absolutely no doubt that Anna adores Elsa and champions her constantly, I don't always think it's quite reciprocated by Elsa. I gave her a pass in the first movie because, bless her, she was going through a lot, but in the sequel she's always doubting Anna's capabilities, keeping secrets from her, ignoring Anna's distress when throwing herself into dangerous situations, refusing her help, and of course, the old favourite, pushing her away. And yes, I know Elsa's emotionally repressed after years of isolation, and that she may have trouble vocalising how much she cares about her sister, but this movie could have been a fantastic opportunity for Elsa to communicate her love through her actions. Instead, the movie is far too fixated on mythologising Elsa, rather than developing the flourishing bond between these two estranged siblings. I'm not sure how canonical the Frozen short films are supposed to be, but this is something I thought 2015's Frozen Fever did really well, actually. Elsa tries to overcompensate for years of neglect by throwing Anna the best possible birthday party. We're allowed to see a happier, more carefree side to her, one who's openly affectionate, even as she battles to keep her sudden fever under control. It's really sweet. And I think I wanted more of that in the official sequel. More of both sisters supporting each other, rather than Anna taking care of Elsa all the time, and Elsa appearing to doubt Anna's abilities every step of the way. Until her sudden change of heart at the end of the movie, that is. Some of you may absolutely disagree with me, and honestly, that's fine. Some of you may even be saying that the movie never promised an exploration of their relationship, and that the joke's on me for assuming this. And yeah, you'd be 100% right to say that. Rather than accepting the movie for what it was, I'd already decided what sort of movie I wanted it to be. I probably would have been far more forgiving of the dynamic between Elsa and Anna if I hadn't got my hopes up by watching the trailer 50 million times. When I had this realisation, I couldn't help but think back to the Mulan teaser, the one which I'd praised so emphatically earlier. What if I'd been a little bit older when I saw it for the first time? A little more critically discerning, shall we say. After seeing the tone set by the teaser, would I have been a bit disappointed with the final film? Would I have felt frustrated that the morally ambiguous hero promised to us in the promotional material isn't actually morally ambiguous in the end product at all? The movie is very firmly on Mulan's side at all times, so much so that they didn't include the Emperor's line from the teaser about how our hero endangered the lives of thousands of men. After seeing the serious tone set in the trailer, would I have become annoyed with the presence of wisecracking Mushu, merchandisable Cricky, and the buffoonish antics of Yao, Ling, and Chimpo? It's hard to say. Loving Mulan is basically baked into my DNA at this point, and I don't know how I may or may not have felt had I been a little bit older when I watched it for the first time. All I know is that Mulan and Frozen 2 both had excellent teaser trailers, which both did and did not reflect the movie which was in store for us. Their purpose was to whet their audience's appetites, and they did their job splendidly. However, going forward, it's not worth it to pin all my hopes and predictions for a film on these early snippets. And this advice isn't unique to me. Remember how I said I went to see the first Frozen movie with a couple of friends and their daughters? Well, these girls adored the Frozen teaser trailer, the one where Olaf loses his nose and he's trying to get it back before Sven eats it. It's a cute trailer, it has some good slapstick, it's bright and nicely animated, and these girls loved it. But this teaser doesn't really have anything to do with the final movie. Yes, there are a couple of jokes about Sven wanting to eat Olaf's nose, but they don't dedicate an entire slapstick sequence to it like they did in the teaser. So when we left the cinema after seeing Frozen for the first time, the girls were actually a little disappointed that the movie was about two sisters and not a Looney Tunes style caper starring a greedy reindeer and a goofy snowman. When it comes to the main theatrical trailers, you can also learn just as much from what they don't tell you as what they do. Take the first Frozen movie again. It's clear, even from the movie's main theatrical trailers, that there was a singularity of vision on the part of the creators, which sadly did not carry over to Frozen 2. The first Frozen trailer constantly reiterates key story beats. We need to stop the blizzard and bring back summer.
It's completely frozen.
The land's covered in eternal snow.
If we don't do something soon, we'll all freeze to death.
I know how to stop this winter.
Let's go bring back summer!
We need Elsa to bring back summer.
That's no blizzard! That's my sister!
Stop the winter, please.
Don't you see? I can't.
We know, even from our first viewing of the trailer, that the blizzard is caused by Elsa, and her sister is on a quest to stop her bringing destruction to their kingdom. It's all very simple. And simplicity is appealing, especially in movies designed to appeal to the whole family. But with Frozen 2, I couldn't have confidently or succinctly told you what the story was based on the trailer. If you've seen the Disney Plus documentary series Into the Unknown, you'll know that this isn't just me speculating either. Frozen 2 appears to have had a very chaotic production, and some major story and character decisions weren't ironed out until nail-bitingly close to the movie's premiere. In an apparent effort to compensate for the lack of narrative cohesion, the studio crammed their trailers with as many pretty, fantastical, and epic shots as they could. And if, like me, you're a sucker for all that, well, it's pretty easy to be won over. But it also means that films will almost always fail to live up to your lofty expectations, or you're so laser-focused on your own disappointment that it prevents you from paying attention to the people who did find something meaningful in the movie. When confronted with all these diverse readings of the film, my complaint about the portrayal of Elsa and Anna's sisterly bond really starts to seem like small potatoes. Whether it's still a valid criticism or not doesn't really matter anymore. By speaking to people or reading their reviews and listening to what they have to say, I'm able to enjoy the movie from so many different angles, and I try to do that for every movie I watch nowadays. I still love trailers, and if I go to the cinema, I'm not just going to walk out of the screening once they start playing. However, no matter how good they are, I've vowed to only see them once, wherever possible, before watching the film itself. And speaking for me personally, I think it's actually helped me to enjoy movies more. They can simply exist without my hyper-specific expectations bogging them down all the time. Having a loose idea of plot and characters in advance can be beneficial, but there's something exhilarating, at least for me, about watching a movie take flight and having no real idea of where you'll end up. I've learnt my lesson, thanks to Frozen 2. So yeah, I guess this video was just a long-winded way of saying thank you, Frozen 2. You're the reason I don't watch trailers anymore. And I feel all the better for it. Thank you so much for watching if you made it all the way to the end. This was my first ever YouTube video, so thank you for showing your support for a new creator on the platform. I have so many ideas for future videos. I don't want to go into specifics just in case any of them fall by the wayside, but this channel is a place where I'll be talking about anything and everything with a story attached to it, basically. So that's movies, TV, books, theatre, video games. There's a lot I'd love to talk about, and if any of that could remotely interest you, I hope I'll see you again for another video at some point in the near future. In the meantime, take care and thank you again.